The Queens of Spice podcast is created for adult audiences only. Our show contains cursing, vulgar content, dark humor, descriptions of sexual acts and desires, and is not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Some episodes also contain themes which may be triggering for listeners. Please take care of yourself. Welcome to the Queens of Spice podcast. This is Rachel Rargy. I'm a Pokemon master. I'm here with my two BFFs, Jack and Ash. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having us. Hi.
Hi. So today we're going to talk about An Unexpected Vacation by Tigbit.
Yay!
Which is a fanfic. On AO3 is where we can most usually read it.
I think it's only on AO3.
Is it on? Okay.
An archive of our own.
Nailed it in one.
I love how Jacqueline is super excited because she knows that because Jack has notes.
I get notes, you guys.
I made Jacqueline special notes this time.
She's organizing her crayons and colors.
And then I bought her some crayons so that she can color on her sheet. Because we want her to have a good time too. And we torture her. And I want her to continue doing this. And I love you. So that's a lot of oranges.
I know, right?
They're very similar colors. Okay. So, like I said, this is called An Unexpected Vacation by Tigbit. It is a Raylo fanfic.
Yeah, it is.
It was written in like 2019-ish. It was kind of ongoing, as fanfics tend to be. They just, do chapters at their leisure. This one is 10 chapters, but 82,000 words-ish. Took me maybe like 2 or 3 hours to go through, I think. Not super long. So Ray attempts to bolster her bank account by volunteering to fuck an alpha in a scientific study. Plans go pear-shaped when she accidentally triggers scientist Ben's first rut. And that was a lot of words you didn't know, wasn't it, Jack?
So many words. Definitely thought Ray was a guy.
Have you not seen the new Star Wars movies?
Oh no, I haven't seen any of the Star Wars.
Okay, so that would explain why she has no idea.
That would 100% explain why you would know who Ray or Benner are.
Benner.
It was Adam Driver.
Yes, Kylo Ren / Ben Solo is Adam Driver.
I need to draw attention to the fact that Ashton is donning her Adam Driver blanket right now because we are going through a cold snap here and it's freezing.
Yes, and Adam Driver is keeping me warm.
Adam Driver keeps her warm at night.
It's a giant Adam Driver face.
It's quite breathtaking. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with it.
Yeah, my partner gave it to me for Christmas last year, I think it was. Honest to Jesus, when it came in, it was late, and I opened it, and all I saw was the inside part here, and I was like, "Is this a Porg onesie?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Oh,
you're on the right track, though."
Well, then I opened it, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And he goes, "Well, there's 2 of them. One of them had him without a shirt on, and I was gonna get you that one, but it was sold out. So I thought this was the next best thing, and I was like." You get me.
There's always next year.
Wait, this was a thing that existed already? It's not a custom made, send in my picture to Walmart and get a blanket?
No.
So people make Adam Driver blankets.
Apparently.
To sell. Also, what the hell was that onesie thing you just said?
Oh, a Porg is a little bird type creature from Star Wars.
It's kind of like a puffin.
Yeah.
You would be 100% into it.
Yeah.
Oh, does it look like an Angry Bird?
No. It makes weird noises, and then Chewbacca ate it.
They're pretty cute, though.
And then he ended up with them all throughout the Millennium Falcon. It was delightful.
It was too funny. So Jack, that was a bunch of words you didn't know.
Many words.
Is there any specifically you'd like to ask about?
The only one I can remember besides Ray,
aside from the one name,
is rut.
Okay. So, Ash, we're going to talk about ABO again.
Yes, we are.
And I'm going to pass it off to you
as I like.
Because you have so much information to tell us about ABO. And
so much.
So we're going to talk about fanfics. We're going to talk about ABO.
Wait, is that the penguin thing?
Omegaverse, yeah. The penguin thing was Omegaverse.
The penguins.
Penguins.
So in that episode, I think I mentioned that the Omegaverse in those books was different than what I was used to reading in fanfic. And then we were going to get into that in this episode.
Yeah, so this is an excellent opportunity to talk about how a fanfic ABO is a little bit different than...
Well, it's not even just fanfic ABO. It's like, because I read ABO or Omegaverse in Raylo, but I've also read it in Germani, and there is like subtle differences. And what I think I find most interesting about the Omegaverse is like the biology behind it, which sounds really, really bizarre, but because Omegaverse is kind of based around like a wolf hierarchy where alphas, betas, and omegas. Now there are more in the wolf hierarchy going into like deltas, gammas, and that kind of stuff, but and some I have seen some fics, I haven't really delved into them, where they go into that as well, but the predominantly and through the Omegaverse is the alpha beta omega dynamic, where alphas are kind of let me get my notes here because I made notes
I'm
on
so
top
proud
of
of you.
Rachel's notes. Oh yes, this is just to keep my like
Your brain organized about
yeah,
it?
because Lord knows it's not at all. So alphas are typically kind of like large, very large, and like dominant human beings.
In this, it's funny because in this fanfic specifically, my notes say one of the characters is Ben Solo, a very large scientist.
Yeah, and it's I think why ABO or Omegaverse works really well with Raylo, because there is such a size dynamic between the two of them. And like in a lot of fanfic that you read, Ben Solo is described as being like almost too much of a person. Like he feels things too strongly and all those things, which kind of leads into like the alpha dynamic where he's like, because his character in the movie is like incredibly explosive and he like has hissy fits and breaks shit. And like
He's very alpha, yeah.
yeah, only it's like baby alpha, because he's not like,
He doesn't know how to harness any of it.
yeah, like he's not going to be like, baby, let me take care of that. He's just going to be like, fuck, and then beat the shit out of things, which is super fun.
Healthy.
Yeah, super healthy mentality. He's Ben Solo, very healthy. He did nothing wrong. But alphas tend to be that like large, highly dominant, like their protective nature is super intense. Like, how can I help you? Let me just take care of you kind of thing. Oh, yeah. And then there's the stuff that I really like. Yeah, about their penises.
Ashton, could you tell me what it is you really like about their penises?
They're big.
Yeah. Excellent start. Continue. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking.
Yes.
No one's fantasizing about an average penis.
There are no alphas with average-sized penises in this world.
I mean, there might be, but I've never read about them.
I've never read about them either.
So when an alpha is excited and they're doing the sexy things, and they are ready to complete.
Yeah. Come to fruition, as it were.
Yeah, when they're going to blow their load.
Oh my God.
They have like a spot at the base of their shaft
Yes.
that like expands. They call it a knot, and it like locks them inside of their person.
How long do the knots in this one last? Do you remember?
I don't know if it's like a specific time frame. I think that it kind of varies in a lot of different fics. It tends to vary. Like sometimes it can last for 10 minutes, sometimes it can last for half an hour. I think it just like compatibility might be a component in that. I don't know.
I feel like there was one spot in this fanfic where they were like knotted together and then they like had sex or like, they fucked each other, came to orgasm again.
Yeah,
and then reset the clock basically.
Yeah, that happens in a lot where it's just like, well, I'm stuck in you and I'm still hard, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And then that happens, which is super, super delightful. And actually another part of the reason that I really like the Omegaverse goes into the whole like, you call it fated mates, right? The idea that there is like a person out there that smells so good and is like totally just compatible with you, and the whole like scenting and marking thing. I fucking love it.
So like in this one, they're studying suppressants, heat
Yes.
suppressants and smell suppressants and all that stuff for both like omegas and alphas.
Yep.
And so, but the fated mate comes in when it's like the blockers just ain't doing the job.
And that's often a thing that you'll read in Omegaverse fanfic, or like I think Raylo in particular, and I'll say that because I've read a fair amount of Raylo Omegaverse fanfic, in that it doesn't matter it's just like, oh yeah, but I'm on my blockers. Oh, but I'm on my meds, blah, blah, blah. But like, I can smell you anyway. Or you're supposed, I'm on my meds. I don't understand. And then they get this whole breakthrough heat thing where they are just like, anyway, I didn't explain what an omega is. I'll explain what an omega is, and then we can talk about heats. And ruts, because Jacqueline didn't understand what a rut is.
Yep, correct.
So betas are basically just like regular people.
Losers.
I mean, yeah, okay. I guess we could call them that. Look at the lineup. She's got those fucking crayons in.
I'm so impressed with how you organized your crayons, Jack. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
That's some Betty Draper shit right there. Anyway,
Omegas
are kind of like the opposite of what an alpha would be. So they're more petite. They're like quote unquote fragile.
Now we're speaking physically.
Yes. Yeah. Like alphas are physically very large and dominant. Omegas tend to be like smaller and meeker. Hence the need to protect thing. They also are incredibly fertile. Babies. Rachel's favorite.
Babies, why would you?
Yeah. Fanfic.
It's a plot device. It's fine.
Yeah, they're basically like, the other side of the alpha coin, right? They're the ones that like take the over. And like the fun thing in a lot of fanfic too is like alphas who are seen as being like big and dominant and angry, and then you get the omega who's like soft and sweet, but like Ray is like not a lot of that, which is super super fun because she's like scrappy and like, oh, a scrappy little omega. But like
it's funny because in this one specifically, I feel like she tops from the bottom a lot.
Oh yeah,
and
but that's her in general.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's her dynamic.
Yeah, but that also.
Did you just say tops from the bottom?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to know what that means?
I'm assuming that it means that she's like on the bottom, but is acting like she's on the top.
She's controlling the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, it's kind of like the dom sub dynamic, right? Like, people think the whole idea is like doms have the power when really it's the submissives are the ones with the power because they're gifting their submission. It's the same kind of thing, like only slightly different in that like
there's a biological component.
Well, yeah, and omegas, they can control through the fact that the alphas need to protect them. So there is a way for omegas to manipulate if they want to, like, which is again leads into the whole biological dynamic that I really like. Similar to with like canine dynamic, alphas will go into a rut when they're like aroused or coming to the point that like procreation is a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of a heat, or it's the same thing. It's
the same thing as a heat. Yeah. So like omegas will trigger heat where they'll be like hyper fertile and they'll be like horny as fuck.
Fuck alphas.
Yeah, like fuck or die kind of situation. Like painful if they don't, which is, and like different people write it in different ways, but it's like if they don't end up with something inside them, they are going to go crazy, and their bodies produce slick, which is like.
It's like lubrication.
Yeah, it's like hyper lubrication. Like alphas tend to really like the way it smells,
or taste
and taste. Yeah, and it just like it's like when women get aroused, only like a faucet.
Yeah, it doesn't. It goes on and stays on.
Yeah, and like can pour out of them, which is delightful.
Which was like Fairy Daddy touched on that when when Gray was up stripping and he was just like leaking out of his butt.
Yeah, exactly.
With the penguins.
Penguin.
Oh, right. Didn't they have, like, some bar that they went to and...
The strip joint.
Strip joint. Okay.
Yeah. Gray worked at it.
Right. But, yeah, isn't it, like, dangerous?
Yes.
Because they all...
Because they're, like...
Want you.
Yeah. Because at that point, you're, like, giving off all of the pheromones and being, like, this body needs to have a baby put in it, like, right now. And then all of the alphas are like, hot damn.
I will do that.
Need to put a baby in that right now. And it's worse for like the alphas and omegas who are super compatible, which is like Ray and Ben in all of the cases. And that like you could just be walking down the street and smell them and be like, fuck. And then they like are like, I don't understand why. They call it breakthrough heat. So if you're like medicated, but then...
You find your like fated mate or whatever,
or you just find the person that smells really good. I don't know, like, oh shit, they're like, that's some stuff, and I need to put that stuff. I like stuff.
I like that PP. That PP goes in.
Oh,
JJ.
And then there's like the whole scenting component of it, where like they smell really good, but then they can like rub each up against each other and make each other smell like each other, which is really really.
It happens so much in this particular fanfic where
all fanfic.
Yeah, fair. But in this one, it happens so many times where because they're doing a study and so they're going into heat/rut in the middle of a study, a scientific study.
Yeah.
And so they have to like do examinations and stuff. And so after those examinations are done, sometimes it's like they just rub all over each other because they're like, you smell like someone else. Gross.
Yes.
I hate it.
And it's delightful.
That's what cats do.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Dogs do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the canine mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So delicious. Delightful. And in this one, or in this is where we get into like slight differences too, is that in this fanfic and a lot of fanfic that I have read, they go into like the scent glands and the mating glands, where they didn't go into that in the Fairy Daddy book.
Correct.
So they would there are certain glands that they would and those are the areas that they would rub. So like
it's
the
like
wrists
your
and their
necks,
neck.
yeah.
And then there's the mating gland, and when you bite the mating gland, that's
nom,
when
nom,
it
nom, nom.
triggers the mating process, and then forever delightful.
And then the fucking.
And then all the fucking. Yeah. So it's super fun. Does that make sense? Did I explain what a red is?
Does that answer your question, Jack?
I was organizing crayons, but
Yeah.
yes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I was organizing crayons.
So the way the story progresses in this particular fanfic, Tig is outlining this like scientific study that's happening, and Ray is signed up for this study because we know Ray is a very frugal person.
Yeah.
And likes to look after herself, super hyper independent.
Yeah, based off the character from the movies where she had to be like a junker.
Yeah, she had to look after herself.
Yeah.
And of course her backstory is similar where it's like she had somebody looking after her, and any job she had to like pay the money or something. And so she grew up in a very kind of frugal sense. And so this scientific study was paying her $2,000 just to show up. And then if she was matched with an alpha in this case, she would get actually like $5,000. And so that was the big driving force of her being here to begin with.
It's so funny because in so many different Raylo fanfics, like the impetus is always like, how do I save? And like it amuses me to no end how different people interpret that, but also the things and lengths she'll go to like save a buck.
Yeah.
It's life hypothesis. How when she reused the, I mean, I say this like Love Hypothesis is a Raylo fanfic.
Yep.
It's been adapted, but she reused the old.
Don't say condoms.
No,
No, you'd have to have sex for that to be a thing.
no, she reused the contacts.
Oh, yes.
Or
She
is-
was using her old contacts,
Yeah.
which was the intro to the book.
Yeah, which is brilliant, and they just all the hijinks that comes up. Is her last name Nima in this?
I feel like I didn't catch her last name.
That tends to be one of the last names that's used a lot in Raylo fanfic is Nima because she's from Nima Outpost.
Okay.
That's the
I
name that
don't. I
tend to use.
feel like they mentioned it one time and I didn't catch it.
I
When
haven't
when
read
second
this in over
read-through.
like a year and a bit, so
Yeah,
whoops.
it's been she is a welder in this one, so
Yes.
same thing. Jacqueline, you have your hand up.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
You said that she gets an extra $5,000 if she gets matched up with an alpha.
Yeah, so
So how does she get matched up? Like they choose an
No.
alpha for her, or it just organically happens, but within the study?
the way this study is set up is it's basically so a bunch of omegas show up to this study they're doing, and they all sit in a table or however they're sitting, and then these researchers come in with bags that have stuff in them. So like it could be a bandana, it could be a sock, it could be a flip-flop, whatever it is. Whatever it is though, it has the smell of an alpha on it. The scent. And so the way to trigger their heat is to scent an alpha that really gets their gears going.
like that shows that they're compatible.
Yeah, so they pass the bags around to all the omegas and see if it triggers their heat.
So they're just sniffing
Yeah.
random
They're just
things,
sniffing flip-flops.
like police dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but these are people, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you consult your notes, everyone in this is a human. I wrote you notes.
I don't.
she
know.
has them covered by her
She has
crayons.
them covered by crayons. Yeah, that's fair. But it does say that everyone is a human in this. You're welcome.
Is it trying to trigger heat, or is it just that it smells good? Because it's usually what happens too is they just want it to smell like that's a thing. Like I just
So they have varying degrees of reactions.
yes.
And this is the thing. So the study is actually testing blockers and that kind of stuff. So like,
Beta blockers?
gosh, no.
Sorry, I thought that was.
And it is a blind study with the doses, so they don't know who got dosed with what, basically.
Yeah.
But the initial triggering, I think, is drug free. So it just depends on the alpha and the omega, because some of them have like really dramatic reactions, and some of them have
Ray and
subtle.
Ben. Like
yes.
Ben's reaction to Ray is like, that's,
So in the
So
beginning,
good.
in the initial study, though, she doesn't get matched with anybody, and so she ends up like, we'll give you a tour of the complex and talk about the study and whatever, and then you can go home. Like, that's fine with your $2,000.
yeah.
And
She's the sad.
she's the sad, because she
because
really
she wants $5,000.
I mean, I'd want $5,000,
So-
but I'd also want to be railed by an alpha too. So
So this was one of the things earlier on in the fic was that she really wanted to make it with an alpha, because she had reading blogs and stuff, or Reddit or whatever it is, talking about how like when you rail an alpha, it's like next level and you can't explain it.
yep. But also in a lot of times like betas having sex with alphas, just like it's not the same thing for them because their bodies aren't physically designed to have that. Like,
Well, that's it. So like when she goes into her heat, historically she had, I think she mentioned a beta boyfriend at the time
Yeah.
who was just like, yeah, it was fine, but it wasn't like out
Yeah.
of this world apparently.
yeah, and I've read fics where like Ben has literally said like, look, I've been told that I'm too much, or like there was this one and I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called right now, and I'm so sorry, but he nodded in her mouth and ended up having to go to the fucking ER because it like in
It's
her
like
mouth.
lockjaw basically.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no.
yeah.
Oh, that
I
sounds
can't remember.
awful.
I cannot remember. I wish I could remember who wrote that fic. It was so good.
Anyway, so Ray is on this tour and something happens with her tour guide that she has to like go an emergency something, but you can't like leave her alone in a scientific office.
So she puts her in office.
So she locks her in this like random person's office,
Yee.
and she, is just putting around, whatever, ends up sitting in the chair, and on the back of the chair is this coat. It's a lab coat.
Ooh.
And then she's like, I'll just put this lab coat on. It's a little chilly. I just put it in the coat on. And then she starts like mindlessly chewing on the sleeve of this coat because she needs to have whatever the smell of that is inside of her.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
when
yeah.
when her tour guide comes back, she's basically like, oh shit, like we just triggered her heat on
Yeah.
this guy's coat. We have to go tell him right now.
Yeah, but he's like a researcher at the facility,
He
and
is.
he is an alpha who has never gone into rep before. And
What? Why?
So he, Leia and Han, his parents in
his
this,
parents.
have kept
Han's
him
not
on
dead.
has kept him on blockers his entire life, because his very first rut that he went into when he was quite young was like off his blockers. He was very violent.
Yeah, which is often a thing with Ben Solo's character in these in a lot of fanfic, because like again you go into how he is in the movies, he's like super fucking intense. So
He's gonna like punch a wall, that kind of guy.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Exactly
or like
that.
attack
and
people.
so that's what he did. He went to school and he got in like 3 fights and got
Yeah.
sent home like halfway through the day.
Yeah,
So how young are they when they can go into rut?
It's like puberty.
yeah, it's like a puberty
Okay.
thing. It varies for different fanfics, right? Some people know that they're alphas or megas at birth. A lot of them come into it as they're a teenager. I think I'm writing one, and like she presents late, and then her presenting late in gym class ends up sending Ben into a fucking rut. It's a time.
That sounds amazing.
It's hilarious.
So
I think it is anyway.
the omegas are smelling the alpha's things,
Mhm.
and so she's obviously gets excited by this lab coat.
Mm-hmm.
So does the alpha also need to like approve
Okay.
the omega somehow?
So in this particular instance, because Ben was not technically signed up for the study, they have to go and do like they have to talk to him and basically tell him what's going on, and he immediately is like, no. So, like, jam her full of blockers and send her on her way. I don't want anything to do with this.
Yep.
And then they're like, okay, but like, come on, it's part of the study. Like, we've been working on this for a long time, please, and whatever. He's like, fine.
Because they have to watch them have sex. Like this is
Yes.
a part of it. They're going.
These
to
are his
watch them have sex.
coworkers who are
Right.
going to watch him have sex
Yeah.
for the going to rut for the first time, even.
Yeah.
And then his mother, Leia, of course, comes in, who's like, she's a congresswoman in this one.
She's a congresswoman.
Yep, makes
Well,
sense.
she's a politician.
She's a politician.
in the movie. So
I know, but
makes sense.
I forget that they're real people. I still imagine they're like penguins and things.
He's a penguin
It
congressman.
says in your notes at the top that they're humans.
I know it says they're normal people, but Congress people aren't normal.
That's fair. So she comes in and talks to him and be like, this would be really good for the study, et cetera, et cetera. And she also wants him to like grow the fuck up, basically. And,
She wants grandkids.
She wants grandkids.
Leia always wants grandkids.
Always wants
grandkids. Always.
And so
I
she
hate her.
she wants to encourage him to kind of do this. And so he decides to scent her. And so they bring him the lab coat of where she'd been nomming on it, basically. And the second he smells it, he's like, takes off like a rocket. Like, he goes immediately into rut.
Yeah. So when she meets him, he's sitting in a room. And I will never forget this scene as like for as long as I live. She goes into the room and he's sitting on like
In a chair.
tied to a chair. And he's like acting a little bit squirrely and he's like moving around and stuff. And he's like, can you come here? Can you like itch my nose? And she's like, he's like, I can't. I don't trust myself right now. Can you just itch my nose?
Hi, I'm tied to a chair. My nose is itchy. Can you scratch my nose for me?
And see, this is the thing. I really love how Tigbit writes because there's this like stream of consciousness that is just fucking hilarious. Like in the beginning of the story where like I think it's Finn is talking to her about like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, there's going to be people watching you have sex, and she's like, all up in your vagina and stuff, and that's why it's called an unexpected vacation because she
takes
like,
a vacation.
Yeah, she's
to
like,
do
it's
this.
just like a vacation. Well, she figures it's going to be like a vacation. Like we're just gonna.
She actually does take vacation away from work in order to go do this study.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's just like it'll be a time.
Yeah,
you know?
it'll be
Plus,
a fun
they
time.
only watch if she matches with someone. So
Well, yeah, she's not just gonna put her in a room to masturbate and have them watch her. This kind of defeats the purpose. That's just pervy. That's not science. That's just
lower.
pervert. That's
Yeah.
just pervy.
fair.
Also, I'm pervy. What's up?
Do you want to watch Ray masturbate?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, is she hot?
Chatterbait.
Yeah, so you were talking about the stream of consciousness thing, and I have it.
Yes.
It's amazing. As I put in this, that Tigbit did a great job of capturing ADHD Ray brain. Because Ray just goes on and on and on and on and on, and like it's so weird because they have this connection too.
Yeah.
Ben and Ray have this connection with each other, and so he can feel her feels. Yes. And sometimes she goes so off the rails with her thoughts that it affects him in a negative way.
Yes.
And so it's very interesting to see that kind of reaction where she's just like having a time, but she's still straight faced. But he's like, "What's wrong? What happened? What's going on? Right now? Like, why are you going? Like, what are you thinking about?"
The minute she's like any kind of distressed, he's in distress. Like, how do I fix this? How do I fix this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about the.
That's the protection thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But this is the other thing too. It's like there's a lot of which Ray calls out as well. Is there's a lot of lucidity during his rut, which is not a typical thing apparently. That alphas usually like go into rut and get kind of mindless. But
Yeah,
they
but
like
just
sit down and
mindless
have
fucking.
they like sit down and have whole conversations, and she's like, "This is wonderful. Is this how it's always supposed to be?"
And I guess
This is so romantic.
and I guess to that, and a lot of it is like, because I mean, it's like periods of lucidity too. Like in a lot of fanfic, it's like they end up with periods of lucidity. So when it amps up, and that's how they can tell it's like, oh no, we're going in for another round. It's like having a hot flash. Only it's like, okay, oh shit, I'm getting hot. Oh, I'm really hot.
And the alpha can like scent that a mile away.
And that's when they're like, okay, this is when I stick it in
Time
you.
to bone.
Yeah, and then once the cum has like satiated the inner,
It's very funny because Ray even mentions this. Ray has this thought when she's going through her like examination after the first time they do it, and she's like, "This
Rape
is weird."
kit, basically.
What?
Rape
What?
kit?
No.
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 So Ray has this. She has this thought when she's having her examination that she feels so like lucid and normal in the middle of her heat, which is so unlike her, and
Yes.
she's not used to it at all. And she's like, I wonder if that's because of his cum is still in me.
Yes, and it is.
And it
Yes.
is.
It's like, I was so hot, and his cum is like,
It's there
ice
and it's
pack.
right.
It's an
it's
ice
like,
pack
yeah.
on my cervix.
What? Listen, this is some weird shit.
Oh, it's not weird. It's amazing. It's like a balm. It's like putting aloe. It's like having a sunburn and putting aloe on it. His cum is like aloe,
But
for
in her
entire body.
yeah.
Like
On the
just,
inside.
like it's like, oh, we released the pressure valve, and then you've like stuck your cum in there, and like your cum is just like making everything all like ooey and like, oh, I feel like a person.
Jack's face right now is amazing.
And like those are the moments too where they're like, okay, now I need to feed you, because it's like mindless fucking for. And this is the other thing, because in Fairy Daddy it was like, oh, I'm in heat and I'm out of heat in like an hour, and for this is days. This is days of mindless fucking. And the idea, and this is
Oh my god.
this
That
is
was some noise.
yeah, listen. And this is the reason that I like it, and a lot of the people that I've talked to, a lot of my friends on the Twitters like it, is it kind of like takes away the choice in a respect. Like, I know that sounds super like slightly non-Connie, but like the idea that
Non-Connie?
Like non-consensual.
No.
It doesn't sound like Connie at all, does
Non-Connie. Oh my god.
Like Nona Connie?
it? Neo no Cooney.
It's a sweet game.
Wakanda forever?
It takes away the justification, I guess, or to a certain point. It's like, I just want to have all of the sex, and I want to have somebody take care of me in all of the sex, and it's just I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, because I'm not describing it accurately, because now all I can think of is fucking Neo no Cooney and Wakanda.
So you just want that healing come.
Yeah, well,
All
yeah.
up in your business.
It's like,
I too would love to feel sated in my life.
well,
forever.
it's not even just stated. It's like the idea. Okay, it's the idea of shutting your brain off. And
Oh,
being
it's like
That's
subspace.
not possible.
not for people like us, Jack. Not for people like us.
It's like subspace.
Yeah, but that's why it's so appealing to people, because people who can't, like, I can't shut my motherfucking brain off. You can't shut your motherfucking brain off. But how nice would it be to shut your brain off and just let your body feel, and have a guy there who's like, my sole purpose is to make you feel better,
Also, here's a bunch of fruit. Enjoy.
and my cum.
And my cum.
Here's a bunch of fruit.
No, he feeds her.
What?
So that's what Ashton was getting at.
Yeah,
is that
because
he
like,
feeds her after all of
he
this.
he fucks her senseless, and then when she comes out of it a bit, he's like, now I need to feed you because I've just fucked you for hours on end.
And he has like, it's like a primal urge. He has to feed
Yeah,
this
like
woman.
he needs to take care of her. Like,
Yes.
oh shit, her bike chain's off of her bike. Well, I better go fix that before she needs me. Like that kind of shit. Like like the compulsion to do it. It's like,
And I mean, I'll jump to the end a smidge here, because when they do end up near the end of the book, they end up back at her place because she demands that he takes her home.
yes,
To her own house, to her own bed, where she can like
Omega
ride off the
watts.
rest of her heat. And
Did you say ride it off?
ride out. She's gonna ride that boy off. Mhm.
well, they have to be in positions that are like okay for when he knots her, because they need to be able to be okay afterwards. So like that's the perfect position, because then you just roll onto their side,
So
or she can just lay on top of him like a big blanket.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Snuggies.
Yeah, listen, man. I would also love to have a guy large enough that I could drape myself across of like a fucking koala bear with his dick stuck inside me. That's a thing.
Do you know that a lot of koala bears have chlamydia?
Oh,
Yes.
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 What is that about?
There's like, who was it, John Oliver or Russell Crowe? Russell Crowe. Oh, there's a John Oliver. Chlamydia clinic for. It's a thing. You'd have to look into it.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, chlamydia clinic for koalas.
Koala bears. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good. Nice off the rails.
They sort of feel like sheep.
Koalas feel like sheep.
Yeah. Like you think they're all
Oh, to
like
touch them.
soft.
Oh, cause have you met a koala?
Yeah, she lived in Australia.
But then you like can push on their fur and it's like a sheep, like kind of dense
like
or
fleshy?
whatever.
woolly.
Yeah.
Woolly? I don't know if you could make yarn out of a koala, but that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I did meet a koala.
That's fine.
And they're just very like dopey and like, because they're high on that bamboo and they have chlamydia. So
Oh, it's eucalyptus?
eucalyptus, that's it.
Yeah, because there's only so many types of eucalyptus elite.
Bamboo's the pandas.
Yes.
They're also dumb as shit.
Those are, I don't understand how pandas exist.
Yeah,
They're the dumbest creatures on planet Earth.
those
Did you
fucking-
guys see the sneezing penguin thing? Not penguin. the sneezing panda.
No.
The little baby panda sneezes, and then it's like mother like flips out. It's so funny. It scares the shit out of her.
Do you know the pandas are born blind, and they're blind for like 6 weeks?
Most animals are born blind.
6 weeks.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
It's a long ass time. This is why I'm like, there's no way natural selection is selecting you right now.
Well, it's funny. I was asking my kid what he's doing this morning. He's like, it's the Jeremy and something show. And I was like, I don't understand it. And then there was just pandas. He was playing Minecraft, and it was just pandas eating bamboo. And one of them's names was Jeremy, and the other one was like Jerome or something. And I was like,
the pandas were playing Minecraft?
he was playing Minecraft. He had spawned pandas, and they were eating bamboo. And my boyfriend kept going, that one looks angry. That one looks happy. Why is that one angry? Anyway, he was.
There are pandas in Minecraft?
Yeah, there's tons of animals
Yeah.
in Minecraft.
Does that mean they're like made out of pixels or whatever?
Well, I mean, they're
They're all, like,
blocky.
They're
Yeah.
blocky.
Pixely?
Pixel
That's
pandas.
fun.
So,
And they're bamboo.
as I was saying, near the end of this story, they end up back at Ray's place.
Yes.
And he has this overwhelming urge to clean her apartment.
What?
Yeah.
He organizes, he cleans, he like tidies all of it. It's spectacular. And then he makes her like a breakfast.
Yep.
He like orders in all the food and stuff and like stuffs her fridge full of a bunch of food
Because he's taking care of her.
because he's taking care of her.
This is what I mean.
Wait,
Yeah.
though, wait. And all of this is happening while her brain is doing nothing. It's
Yeah.
just
In this case, she was.
relaxing.
In this case, she
It's
was
like-
like asleep.
Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. That's basically her brain.
Yeah.
oh.
But like, it's also funny because, yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. As the eye flutter with Jack here. It's also funny because like in the whole like Omega heat situation, and a lot of times they'll build like nests. With,
Yeah, and she does nest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like cleaning and keeping things tidy would be something that Omega would do to nest, but the alpha wants to take care of her, so he cleans so she can like rip all of the bedding apart and build a nest. And I like, it's so funny because different things that you think about, like I'm always like, is it like a nest? Like, is it like a circular space? Like, and how does fucking happen in that? And, or is it just like a bunch of soft pillows, like a giant bed covered in like soft stuff that you can just kind of like sink into and like,
So
Yeah.
in this one, it is a bunch of like she makes a nest on the bed.
Yes.
In the research facility, and it's just a bunch of piles, and she has like big stacks of pillows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When the stacks falls over, she gets sad and does it again. And then in like a moment, Ben is trying to be like, I'll help you. Do you want me to help you? And then he stops, and he's like, but it's perfect.
yeah.
And she's like, what? He's like, it's perfect. It's absolutely wonderful. It's beautiful. Everything you did there was perfect. She's like, huh.
Because
Okay, I'm
all she
yeah.
wants to do is please him.
That's all she wants.
Yeah, and then you get that moment in a lot of fanfic too, where it's like,
It's so adorable.
your nest's so good, baby. Like, it's so good. And like,
You're such
did
a good
Did I
girl.
please you? Did I please you, Alpha? Yes.
and
you
that's
pleased
the
your
thing that
Alpha.
happens back and forth in this, where Ray has a conversation with her Omega Brain, basically.
I love that.
Where-
I love that
yeah,
so much.
Where it's like the Omega Brain wants this thing, but Ray's like, no, hold on. We're still lucid. We're not doing that.
Yeah. When I write Omegaverse, I often use like the Alpha hindbrain as like kind of showing the dark to light in Kylo's personality or in Ben's personality, because you see that in the duology in the movies.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and like some people like it, some people don't. Because I know people who are like, I don't understand why you have this like other person inside there. I'm like, I like it. I think it's hilarious. And when like they want
Well,
something,
it's internal conflict.
exactly.
That's perfect. That's
Exactly.
what you want in writing, I think.
Yeah. And like
That's character development.
I also love when it's they're like rationally and they're like, no, we need to have a relationship and we need to do these things, and the alpha and like hindbrain is like, put the baby in her, put it in her, fuck her until she's full
So
of you.
aggressive.
It's like multiple personalities.
Kind of.
Kind
Because
of.
it's instinct, right? It's like the instinct driving home these ideals.
Yeah, like
Makes sense.
So-
baby.
So to that point, Jack, we're gonna get you to read something.
Oh.
It's time. I know you're enjoying your coloring, and it looks so pretty, and I'm so pleased with it. But
Yeah.
we need to put your crayons down for a second and get you to read something.
Can we show the people my coloring?
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it and send it on.
It'll go on Twitter. I was scrolling through Twitter and I was like, that's a really weird look. I drew that penguin. I drew that penguin.
Yeah.
And why is my penguin on Twitter?
You
And
drew a
Rachel put-
penguin
yeah.
because I took a picture. It was so pretty, and I put it up. Okay, are you ready?
No.
You got this. I believe in you.
Also, we're doing this at a strange time of day.
There's no shots right
There
now.
are no
Yeah.
shots.
It's like 3:00 in the afternoon. I can't justify that.
Don't
one.
worry, we're gonna get Jacqueline real drunk later
Yeah.
to offset all of the shit we're gonna put her through.
I love you,
Yay.
Jack. Thank you.
And snacks.
Snacks. Not sated, she was surprised to realize. Her heat was still too firmly active for that, but she felt level-headed enough to feel mildly afraid for the future because that had been Ben's mouth and his thumb. And yes, she clenched to confirm she wasn't imagining things. It was big enough to feel, but would pale in comparison to a knot. Ben's voice reached her ears. Such a good fucking girl, coming on my tongue. He sounded just as breathless as she was, and she gasped when she could see his eyes. They'd gone near black. His cheeks were pink, his hair mussed from where she'd grabbed it. I'm gonna fuck you now, he said, and it sounded like a warning. You promised to come that hard on my knot? He didn't wait for an answer, surging up until he was braced on his hands and pushing in and in and in, and thrusting before Ray could form a thought. Sounds a little non-Connie to me. She scrambled to prepare for what she couldn't have known. There was no room to think. It was inescapable, this feeling, the way his cock stretched her and filled her up, almost unbearably full, stealing her breath and demanding nothing less than everything her body could give. She could only hold on, clutching at him as he snarled and cursed, nipping at her neck as they writhed together, every push something blissful and brand new. Suppressants had been around for years, blockers too, but if this very odd left field day had taught Ray nothing else, it was that instincts could never be underestimated. No drug could completely kill what she felt in her soul, that part of her that thrashed and shook with need. And strangely, she was glad of it. There was power in this amount of passion. For the first time, she pitied betas. They couldn't do this. Would never know the feel of a knot. Couldn't ever make an alpha this wild with need. Not like Ray. Ben was gone. Wherever it was that his rut demanded he go, he'd been taken without mercy. This Ben wouldn't talk. Couldn't. There were no more words, but he communicated in every other way, going to one elbow so he could cradle her neck, thumbing at her nipples, nodding frantically with leaking, closed eyes when Ray clenched on his cock, gasping when she rubbed her nose against his gland. All the while the bed shook. Their noises filled the room, every slap of wet skin, every groan and shout. She could tell when he was close. If his hands had never been idle, they almost buzzed with movement now. All of it focused on his own body. He made fists. He mouthed the fat of his thumb. He pinched anything he could grab. She recognized his attempt at the same strategy she'd tried earlier, trying to overwhelm his senses with familiar sensations as something unknown and terrifying approached. His first knot. Seeing his face unfroze her tongue. "You're okay," she managed to say. He looked at her, wild. Her own orgasm was waiting, threatening to end everything she knew, but she wouldn't let herself walk off the edge. Not until she had his knot, and he needed her. He hadn't looked away, so she said it again, reaching up to touch his cheek. "You're okay." He was too far away to answer, his eyes glazed, but she could feel it now, a pressure where there hadn't been a pressure before, a swelling that forced Ben's thrusts to slow. It had to be her imagination, but she could swear each pulse matched the beat of her heart. And at the peak of it, when she could no longer move, when the bulge of his knot was bigger than anything she'd ever taken, when she almost wept from the pressure and from the joy of feeling, Ray clutched Ben as he came. She held him as he shuddered and was held in return, and in the dimmest, most remote corner of her mind. Just as she tumbled into oblivion, she remembered the forums and thought, I see what you fucking mean.
Thanks for that, Jack. Really appreciate you reading that.
I love the look on her face. She looked like a fucking, like, the Grinch from the Green, like, the cartoon.
Okay, that's very specific.
That is very specific.
Yeah, I like the mouth. Anyway, I don't tell you.
So I just had a couple other notes I wanted to cover. Note number 1, they never mentioned birth control in any of this.
Who needs birth control?
Well, I'm just curious. So, like, in other fics like this, like ABO, is that a thing they usually talk about?
Yeah, it's usually like an implant or something.
Okay. I mean, this is the thing. They're in a clinical study, so, like, I assume there's something going on behind the scenes. Just don't mention it.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like when they get their prescription for their suppressants, they also get put on a birth control method of some kind. So, like, you know, birth control pill or
shot or whatever.
Or shot, yeah. I think it's in a lot of the ones that I read, it's like an implant, which would make sense because that way you don't have to worry about it's always there.
Mm-hmm.
Though it also leads into, like, when the alpha knows that the implant's there and is, like, so driven to
remove it.
Like bite it out or something.
Oh,
it's like,
God.
to overcome it.
yeah,
I
it's
love
hot.
and hate that.
yeah.
I
know.
love the idea of that because it's the primal thing. I
Yeah.
hate the idea of that because that makes me cringe.
Yeah,
So
listen,
bad.
It's primal. It's
Yeah.
that's all. I'm just like, again, shut your brain off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the other notes I had was I kind of wish there was more insight on the actual research study. Listen, I'm a nerd. I'm here for a good time.
I want to know the findings of their study.
Yeah.
Findings: horny people like to fuck.
But they already know that.
I'll just say
surely.
that, like, and maybe because I'm not like an ABO fanfic reader typically. This
Connoisseur?
is like the first one I've ever read.
Oh yeah, but it won't be your last.
We'll see. I don't know. Like, it took, like, I read this twice, and it took me the second time to really grasp what they were trying to study, and that could just be my not being able to understand
I would say so.
the ABO kind of and the heat and all that jazz. So,
I
like,
would say so.
that could just be my lack of understanding, which is whatever.
I think we should ask. I mean, we've got a couple people who and are like the fanfic world that are listening. What should Rachel read?
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to recommend me some fanfics for this? Absolutely.
Recommend Rachel some Omegaverse fanfics. I mean, I've got a ton, but I'd be curious to see what people think, like, out in the the world that is not me.
I'll read anything. I don't care.
As is evident by some of the things that you've fucking thrown my way.
You're
I thought I was bad.
Last point. She owns a Jeff Goldblum shower curtain.
Oh my god, fuck Jeff Goldblum.
I put that in Jack's notes too. But
Yeah. So that's at her house?
yeah, her own personal
Okay.
shower curtain is Jeff Goldblum.
That's interesting.
I've had so many dreams where I get into a fight with Jeff Goldblum. Like,
Is he from, like, Star
No.
Wars or anything?
Not at all.
no, he's just a
Okay.
random guy.
He's
Okay.
great. I love Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum.
Really? Because in my dreams, he hates me. I dreamt that I made myself coffee, and he took my coffee and got mad at me because I did not make his coffee properly. I also had a dream where he got in my face at a dog park because his dog attacked mine, and then Adam Driver showed up and told me that I was a feisty little thing because I was yelling at Jeff Goldblum because his dog attacked my dog.
I love how all this just came full circle. That's wonderful.
I've never told you this?
Oh, I'm sure you have.
Oh my god!
I like,
I've
when
had so many
I like
dreams.
hearing you say it out loud again.
I also had one where he, like, took over my treatment room and tried to sleep in it.
That's really weird.
I know, and I got mad at him. I was told to get the fuck out.
So,
Then he followed me home.
final note.
I have a note after Rachel's note.
Okay. Well, I wanted to mention that this is part of a series. Technically, there is, like, when Tig went to write the epilogue of this, it ended up turning into a whole other story.
I know, and it's so cute.
It's super cute. I only read about half of it, but it's called
so
An
cute.
Unexpected Date.
Yep.
And they kind of in this fic they mention, like, Ben asks her out on a date basically.
Yes.
And so it's been this big hype thing for so long, and, like, after they've been dating for a while, they finally get to go on the date.
And she's, like, super concerned about it being perfect.
She's
and,
so yeah.
yeah.
It's wonderful.
There's this scene that you didn't read. I think that's what we were telling you about in the car, where he, like, just goes into the women's bathroom and, like, smears chicken and stuff all over himself, and it's just like,
He makes
What?
himself imperfect.
yeah, it's adorable.
She's very concerned about this being, like, a perfect night.
Yep.
an imperfect date because it's been so hyped up for so long.
Right.
And so he's like trying to make himself imperfect in order to kind of.
He's trying to show her that it doesn't matter. He
Yeah.
loves her anyway, and whatever. I don't know if they said they probably have. And he's like, and like, then people are like, okay, can you get out of the bathroom now? Like,
You've made your point, leave.
Yeah, go away. You're in the women's bathroom. It's really fucking cute. It's really adorable.
What's your last point?
My last point, okay, because I am a dirty Raylo. I just wanted to say, because this is a Raylo fanfic, that the Raylos are amazing, and we've already read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, which was an adaptation on a Raylo fanfic, and there's been a lot of Raylos like getting published in the last little while, which really feels like Raylos are winning.
It's a big W.
It's a huge W, huge win. But there's several coming out in the next year, so I just wanted to like mention those.
Yeah, let's call it a few. What do you got?
I've got Thea, who is a goddess with Hurricane Wars. Gino or Jenna Levine, I hope I said your last name right. With My Roommate is a Vampire, and let me fucking tell you,
My Roommate is a Vampire?
yes,
That sounds amazing.
it's oh my god, it's adapted from like a text fic. Fucking brilliant. Gino is like, I adore Gino. Amazing. We've also got Katie Shepard with Bear With Me Now. Julia Soto with Forget Me Not. Ali Hazelwood has a new book coming out this year called Love Theoretically.
Wait. Is it like Forget Me Not?
No, it's not. It's
it's not
NOT.
ABO? Okay.
No, it's not. I love that you went there though.
Thanks
that
for
was
catching
good.
that. Good
Yeah.
call.
Welcome.
Sarah, your last name is really kind of fucked up here, but it's A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. Gonna say I'm really excited for that one.
Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon.
Yeah.
That sounds like my cup of tea.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a ton of other ones, and I follow a lot of you on Twitter, and I'm really sorry that I didn't do my homework and write down more of you, but you're all amazing, and everybody needs a shout out, and we will read you guys on our podcast because I'm just gonna make Rachel do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Listen, here's the thing. The last one you told me about, which was, so we read Love Hypothesis.
Yep.
If you would never have told me that was based on a Raylo fanfic originally, I would never have known at all. It just like, it's not a thing that like that. Then
You mean the cover didn't give it away?
even still though, like you pointed that out to me. That wasn't the first thing in my forefront of my brain.
I guess to be fair though, you don't like Adam Driver.
It's not that I don't like him. It's that I don't go seeking him out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing. Like you're not gonna see something and be like, yes, Adam Driver, or I'm like,
But at the same time, Love Hypothesis is an amazing book in my opinion.
Adam Carlson. Delightful.
Yeah, and like so it wouldn't, the two things don't need to coexist in my brain.
No.
To make it like an amazing piece of
and
literature.
it's so funny the number of people like the anti-Raylos, like the antis, who like get so bent out of shape when they find out that Raylos are publishing books. It's like, then don't fucking read them, guys. Like there is a cornucopia of novels out there in the romance universe and just books in general. If you don't want to read them, or if you're mad about it, don't fucking read them.
Well, not to mention, like, this is the thing. I would, if someone is just like, hey, this book is great, I'm probably just going to go read that book. And it doesn't matter to me. Like, I have no alliances for fanfics or whatever. If I pick up a book and I'm like, this looks interesting, I'm going to read it.
Do you know what's really kind of fun? A lot of, I think Thea in particular, was bumped up to like a top spot on Barnes and Noble's list for like top authors because like so many people pre-bought the book, and it's like, this is the power of the Raylos, guys.
Yeah,
like,
nice. That's awesome.
we
This is the thing. Fanfic writers in general are like a different level of writing.
oh yeah,
And it's all like peer reviewed and like everyone's really supportive. And like, it's wonderful to see this tight knit community backing each other all the time.
well, and it's really funny that people who talk about how fanfic isn't like
They look at it as less than sometimes.
yeah, and like anybody who started off as a fanfic writer, like, oh well, it's cheating because the characters already exist, but like to me the characters exist, so it gives you an opportunity to really delve into a universe, so that would help you build in your writing capacity. And I mean, I don't know, I just,
In design, we have this lovely phrase that says, "There's nothing new under the sun. You just have to do it better."
yeah.
And so, like, to that point, anytime I read a book, I'm always comparing it to other books. Of course I am.
Yeah.
Because that's how your brain works.
Well, and I mean, we're talking about Raylo, but then you look at something like Hermione or any Harry Potter fanfic in general. You look at the bullshit with, she who must not be named. And
that's what I was gonna say.
Excellent. I love
we don't
that.
appreciate TERFs on this podcast.
Yes,
we
no,
don't talk
evil,
about
horrible.
them.
And a lot of the fandom content allows people to experience Harry Potter in the way that they want to experience Harry Potter, or support Harry Potter, or like experience things that, I don't want to say the author destroyed, but
You're bringing that power back to yourself, I think.
yes, very much so. But it also takes control of like personally, I think that Ron ending up with Hermione was lazy writing. So you can read things that go the way you want them to, or experience different sides of things that you might not even be aware that, like, I'm not gonna lie, the first Hermione fanfic I read was probably 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a long
I will say
fucking
too,
time
because
ago.
I love Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I do, and so it's really kind of like I had this moment in reading this fanfic where I was like, oh, Leia and Han are together and everyone's alive, and then Ben's here too, and they're a nice little family.
Yeah.
They don't get along or whatever, and it's kind of dysfunctional, but I'm like, oh, this is so nice that they got to like have their happy ending, kind of.
Oh, listen.
In a dysfunctional way, but regardless, I'm like, oh my god, they're so together as a family. This
And
is
the
great.
rewrites. People do rewrites after The Rise of Skywalker and the horror show that was. And like,
and the fact that just Ben and Rey end up together at the end of
yeah, Ben's not dead.
yeah, I'm just
Fuck
like,
you, J.J. Abrams. Fuck you.
He's not dead, but who is dead, Ashton?
Lots of people.
My parents. Also, I would just like to say
Ben Solo's parents are dead too.
Ben Solo doesn't actually have a penis that knots. So fanfic isn't like stealing full things from characters and using them as their own.
Well,
Like,
it's adaptation.
but people need to settle the fuck down.
You and Ben Solo could have like an orphans club.
We could.
except he's not alive in that universe. So
Well, he's alive in my universe.
does it anyway?
He's dead too.
Well,
Okay.
we don't know if he's dead or not because Disney's like fucking stupid about it. But anyway, fuck you, J.J. Abrams. I'll say it once, I'll say it again.
So, thanks for that. We need to rate this book.
Okay.
What do you want to rate it on, Ash?
Knots.
You want to rate it on knots?
Well, I mean, what else would we rate it
There's
on?
only one knot in this, though.
Okay, but the knot is being given to you several times.
I'll accept that.
What about if we rated on like how many bags
Orgasms.
of other people's clothes you have to sniff or something? Because that's weird.
Yes. How many bags of clothing?
Okay, we're gonna
Sniff.
rate this on per Jack's discretion. How many bags of alpha scent covered objects that you have to sniff? We're going to rate this out of 7.
I feel like this is
bags.
giving her way too much like room to like fuck around with it. Like,
Nope.
what's in the
Listen.
bag? Is one tennis shoe, one trucker's hat, one sandal.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. So there are 7 bags.
7 bags.
Every bag
Every bag
has one piece of clothing in it,
has one piece of clothing in it,
which could include
which could include
a t-shirt,
a t-shirt,
a flip-flop,
a flip-flop, or a thong if you're in
a thong.
Australia.
Yes, if you're Australian.
Oh,
then
I was
it's
like,
called
no,
a
please
thong.
no underwear.
A sweaty bandana,
A sweaty bandana.
or a jockstrap.
I was
Or-
literally just gonna say jockstrap.
In your
oh my
head.
god.
So you didn't want underwear, but you're cool with a jockstrap.
No, it's just I just had a feeling Rachel was gonna say jockstrap.
I had that look in my eye.
Yeah, she had that jock look in her eye.
Better than the strap look. Okay.
I didn't realize jockstraps didn't have like a back to them.
No, that's why they're funny.
Yeah,
Jockstraps.
they're used a
they're
lot
for
in
your junk.
porn. It's hilarious.
Yeah, of course they do. Because anyway,
Yeah.
they're like assless chaps. All chaps are assless.
Only underwear.
They're assless, legless chaps.
They're to like keep your dick under control when you
Oh,
play sports.
right. Let's rate it.
So, out of the aforementioned bags of smelly things.
Smelly things.
Jack, I'm gonna ask you first.
Whoa. I'm always last.
Flipping the script. We're doing
Oh my
it.
goodness. She gets fucking notes and she has to go first.
And we're
too.
sober. It's wild.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is gonna be
guys,
the worst
I'm
show
sober.
yet.
So out of 7,
Out of 7.
Yeah.
Bags.
based on what we talked about and what you read.
Okay. So I'm pretty psyched that nobody laid an egg. Because that was a little weird.
I put that in your notes. Did
I
you see
know,
that?
I saw.
Yeah, no eggs are laid in this one.
But sadly, there are no penguins either.
True. Yep. There's Jeff Goldblum.
I don't like that.
He's not a penguin though.
That doesn't really excite me either way.
Okay.
And he and I
Doesn't
are not
affect the
friends.
rating. Good to know.
I think I would like to rate it. So I have to pick a number between
1 and 7. No half measures.
So, and it can't be like a full bag plus a jock strap out of bag number 7.
No. No
No,
mix and
no
match.
ripped t-shirts.
No. It's all whole bags
No
of
mix
stuff.
and match.
You can't mix and
A
match these bags.
bandana that used to be sweaty but has since been cleaned.
It's not clean. It's dry. But it's
It
dirty.
has to have the scent on it.
Yeah, that's the point. Is that they have to be scent heavy.
Yeah, but it could be lightly scented. Because I don't like strong scents. Like when you smell a guy that's wearing way too much cologne.
Okay,
Like,
that's not the point.
I
though.
wish that was the problem in this case. It is not.
it
Yeah,
is
no,
not.
It's the opposite problem.
It's like,
Okay.
It's like BO. And like it's
but it's like good BO.
Yeah.
like it's like this. It makes you want them.
or not, as the case may be.
Yeah, or not, because there's one fanfic where he's like, "You smell like drying paint."
Oh, this one they have lovely descriptions of what some of the stuff smells like.
Well, you didn't tell me any of that. So I think I'm going to rate it 1 nibbled on lab coat out of 7 bags of boy smelly things.
Ash, what do you got?
I'm flabbergasted the way Jacqueline always finds a way of fucking getting around it. I shouldn't be, but I am.
You're still shocked by this. I'm so surprised.
Chaos gremlin for life.
Yeah.
I say that as if I'm no different.
So out of 7 smelly bags.
Smelly bags.
You're welcome.
It just made me think of testicles.
Yeah, that was the intent.
Yeah.
Smelly bags. Smelly bags.
Look,
Are
fuck
the
it. 7. I
feeling-
fucking love this fic. I love it so much, and I love the way Tig writes. 7. I'm rating it 7.
Legit.
Tigbit, you got a 7 out of 7 plus a lab coat.
7 and a lab coat. I'm rating it 7 and a lab coat. That's how much I love this fucking thing.
You're not allowed to do that, Rachel said.
Listen,
I'm not the boss of anyone here. I try.
she tried wrangling cats.
I'm gonna give it a 6. I think.
I thought she was going for like a 0.5 there for a second.
A 6 and a thong
I'm gonna give it a 6.
and a size 6 thong? No, that'd be weird. That would be 2 small feet for this alpha.
I love how she knows that.
A 6. I think there's a bit of room for improvement.
Well, you want more information about the fucking sciencey
There's
stuff.
listen. This is the thing is that so this is my first foray into the ABO fanfic kind of creature that is the Raylos. So I don't want to set the bar too high. I don't because I don't know what's going to come down the pipe in the future. But I did really enjoy this story. It did some stuff to my brain that I need to suss out. And I'm excited to read some more in the
Biology.
future. Yeah, there's some biological stuff in here. It's very interesting. I learned a lot. So on that note, next episode in a fortnight, we are going to talk about a very special book. Oh,
Uncle Jake!
not that kind of special book.
Oh.
Soon though, don't worry. It's on the list, and I keep dreading having to read it again.
I can't fucking wait.
Oh God. Anyway, no. This
I love how much joy that brings Jacqueline.
So this book is making its rounds on the book talk. It has been for a while. I read it back in December the first time. It's called Priest by Sierra Simone.
Thanks, Lane.
Thanks, Lane, for turning us on to that one. So we're going
Yeah,
to
Lane, you turn us on. Who's Lane?
Giggity. So thanks for joining me on this episode of the podcast, guys. A shout out to Raylos everywhere. Thank you so much for writing and continue writing. Love you.
Love you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Queens of Spice podcast. You'll find us on Instagram and Twitter at Queens of Spice. Or if you want to send us an email, you can reach us at queensofspice@gmail.com.